Imagine yourself standing in the midst of an ancient arena, not one filled with dust and the roar of lions, but a modern hearing room with stark white walls, stiff leather chairs, and the relentless flash of camera lights piercing the air like arrows. The atmosphere is thick, suffocating, as if the entire world is holding its breath, awaiting the moment two warriors step forward. But this isn't a battle of muscle or steel. It's a clash of words, of convictions, of blazing fires and unyielding ice. The House Oversight Committee hearing isn't just a dry political event scribbled into the record books. It's a dramatic stage where two women, with opposing styles and souls, collide in a confrontation that mirrors the deep fractures running through America today. On one side stands Jasmine Crockett, a Texas congresswoman, storming in like a whirlwind that sweeps away everything in its path. Her blazing red blouse isn't just a fashion choice, it's a symbol of the fire she carries within, a flame ready to incinerate anyone who dares to tolerate the lies she believes are tearing this nation apart. Her gaze is sharp as a blade, slicing through the room, not even glancing at her opponent, but fixed straight ahead, as if she knows exactly what she's fighting for. Picture her in her days as a lawyer in Dallas, standing before a courtroom podium, her voice trembling with rage and passion as she defends families shattered by falsehoods spreading like a plague. Now in this room, she's more than a politician. She's the voice of millions who feel betrayed by a system that can't shield them from the shadows of social media, especially X, where conspiracy theories and calls to violence sprout like weeds after a rain. Across from her sits Karoline Leavitt, the youngest White House press secretary in history, poised like a statue carved from frigid marble. Her simple black blazer clings to her slender frame, understated yet exuding a quiet confidence that borders on chilling. Her eyes don't waver, don't blink, staring straight ahead as if she's faced this pressure 100 times before. No entourage, no stack of papers, just her, a glass of water, and a calm that sends shivers down the spine. What forged this woman? A new mother thrust into the eye of a political storm, representing the Trump administration with an unshakable belief that free speech is inviolable, no matter the chaos it might unleash. When she pulls the microphone closer and speaks, her voice rings out, not loud, not melodic, but sharp as a honed blade, cutting through the room's every sound. A monumental question hangs between them, between us, like a dark cloud before a storm. Can we let freedom reign above all, even if it leaves wounds that never heal? Or does truth need a gatekeeper, a firm hand to guide us through the fragile line between right and wrong? This isn't a dilemma reserved for politicians in their halls of power. It touches every family, every individual in this polarized society, where each person holds a phone, an X account, and a voice that can echo thousands of miles in seconds. Think of a father in Ohio, sitting in his living room, sharing a clip of Leavitt on X with the caption, "This is the freedom we need," while the mother, across the room, reposts Crockett slamming the table, writing, "We can't let lies win." Their older child, a college student, silently scrolls, exhausted by endless arguments, while their younger one, just 16, begins to believe conspiracies from an X post no one in the house notices. This isn't fiction, it's reality, lives witnessed and woven into the clash between these two women. As the chairman bangs his gavel, the sound echoing like thunder, no one cares. Every eye is locked on Crockett and Leavitt, two icons of an America torn between the fire of truth and the ice of freedom. Crockett rises, yanking the microphone close, her voice exploding like a gunshot. "You call it democracy, to let lies run rampant on X, ripping this country apart?" Leavitt doesn't flinch, replying with a chilling calm. "We don't control X, and we don't control the people. You want to call it lies? That's your right. We call it truth. Truth not everyone wants to hear." Those words pour fuel on Crockett's fire, yet they also stab like a dagger into her argument, leaving a deadly silence in the room. The House Oversight Committee room trembles with the chairman's gavel, but the sound is a mere whisper against the storm brewing within. Cameras pan slowly across the packed crowd, harsh white light illuminating faces, not a single seat empty, all holding their breath, as if witnessing an inevitable collision. This hearing isn't a routine policy debate. It's an arena where the question of the White House's responsibility in managing public information on social media, particularly X, erupts into a war between two unrelenting forces. Jasmine Crockett, with fire blazing in every gesture, and Karoline Leavitt, with a cold sharpness like an icy blade, turn this space into a battlefield of words and beliefs. The chairman, his voice dry but authoritative, declares, "We're here to examine the White House's responsibility in managing public information," but no one truly listens. All eyes fix on Crockett as she stands, pulling the microphone close, her voice bursting forth like a gunshot piercing the air. "You call it democracy to let lies spread unchecked on X, tearing this nation apart, election conspiracies, anti-immigrant rants. You and the Trump administration enable it all, and now you sit here with an innocent face like nothing's wrong." The crowd stirs, a few scattered claps rising from Democratic lawmakers, but most remain silent, awaiting the response from the woman across the room. Karoline Leavitt doesn't budge. She sits there, hands lightly clasped on the table, the glass of water before her still as a mirror. Her eyes lock onto Crockett, not with overt defiance, but with an almost otherworldly calm. When she finally pulls the microphone closer, her voice rings out, not loud, not flowing, but sharp as a honed sword. "We don't control X, and we don't control the people. You want to call it lies, that's your call. We call it truth. Truth not everyone wants to hear." A deathly hush blankets the room, as if no one dares breathe, afraid to shatter the tension gripping the air. Then, like lightning splitting the sky, Crockett slams her hand on the table, the piercing bang startling a few onlookers. "Truth? You call incitements to violence, conspiracies convincing people the election was stolen? Truth? That's not democracy. It's chaos, and you're the one flipping the switch." The room explodes, murmurs spread like wildfire, a few people leap to their feet, phones raised to capture the moment. Democratic lawmakers nod, one whispering to a colleague, "She's right, there has to be accountability." But across the aisle, a few Republicans smirk, as if they'd seen this coming. Leavitt, still unmoving, tilts her head slightly, as if weighing her words, then replies, her tone even but laced with a hint of mockery, "If you think the people aren't smart enough to tell truth from lies, the problem's not with us, Congresswoman Crockett. Maybe you should ask yourself who's really trying to control them. We let them think freely while you want the White House to filter every word to fit your view. Is that freedom in your eyes?" Another slam echoes, louder this time, like a small explosion in the room. Crockett shoots up, her chair wobbling behind her, eyes bloodshot, breath ragged. "Don't twist my words," she shouts, pointing straight at Leavitt, her trembling finger a beacon of fury. "I don't want control. I want accountability. Those lies have consequences. People believe them. People threaten violence. People die. And you sit there with that bland smirk, pretending you're blameless." But Leavitt doesn't smirk. She gazes at Crockett, eyes cold as a frozen lake, then slowly pulls the microphone closer. "I don't decide what's a lie or what's truth," she says, her voice lower, each word a cut. "And neither do you. The people write those posts, not us. If you don't like what they say, the issue's with the very people you represent, not us." The room ignites, shouts mix with applause, the audience losing all restraint. A man in the back row yells, "Crockett's right! We need truth!" while another, a few seats away, growls. Leavitt gets freedom. The chairman pounds his gavel relentlessly, face flushed with frustration, but the sound is like droplets in a raging fire. On X, reactions erupt at breakneck speed. One user posts, "Leavitt just knocked out Crockett without raising her voice. She's a legend," with a meme of Leavitt sitting calmly, captioned, "When you win without trying." Another shares a clip of Crockett slamming the table, writing, "Crockett's fighting for truth. Don't let them win." The hashtag Crockett vs. Leavitt skyrockets, trending fast, Trump supporters hailing Leavitt as Trump's secret weapon, while progressives crown Crockett the fire of truth. The media jumps in. CNN broadcasts live, a commentator analyzing, "Crockett showed rare courage. She's not afraid to confront power." Fox News counters, "Leavitt just taught Congress a lesson in control. She won with smarts." MSNBC praises, "Crockett embodies the people's outrage," while Newsmax declares, "Leavitt's the future of the GOP. Cool, sharp, unflinching. Platforms like TikTok and Instagram turn the clash into a cultural phenomenon, with reenactments of Crockett's table slams and Leavitt's stillness racking up millions of views in hours. But inside that room, the battle rages on. Crockett, face flushed, shouts one last time, "Will you take responsibility for those lies on X or keep pretending you're just a bystander?" Leavitt, unblinking, replies, "I'm not responsible for what the people say. I'm responsible for ensuring they can say it. You want to blame someone, blame freedom." Crockett's scream is drowned by the chairman's gavel, but her eyes still burn as if she'd leap across the table to face Leavitt. Leavitt just sits there, hands clasped, face unmoved, as if Crockett's fury is a passing breeze. The storm in the House Oversight Committee room doesn't halt when the chairman's feeble gavel sounds its final note. It truly erupts as Jasmine Crockett and Karoline Leavitt, opposites like fire and ice, peel back the layers of their souls with every word, every glance. The room still trembles from the echo of Crockett's table slams, her shouts lingering in the air. But now the camera lights shine on these women not just to record a debate. They illuminate wounds, convictions, and the paths that led them to this fateful showdown. This is no longer a hearing about policy. It's a story of humanity, of what they're willing to sacrifice, and the shadows they carry from their pasts. Jasmine Crockett stands there, breath ragged, hands trembling from her last table slam. Her red blouse isn't just a symbol anymore. It's the fire blazing within, kindled from her days as a lawyer in Dallas, facing families broken by lies spreading like wildfire. Picture her in a small courtroom, dim light filtering through a window onto the faces of mothers weeping for children lost to conspiracies, fathers bowed by communities fractured by online vitriol. That's why she entered politics, why she screams today, when she points at Leavitt and growls, "You know what those lies cause? People die, communities collapse, and you still sit there like it's nothing." It's not just an accusation. It's the cry of someone who's seen too much pain, who believes if no one stands up for truth, everything she's fought for will turn to ash. But that fire, fierce as it is, has cracks. As she shouts, eyes bloodshot and voice breaking, there's a fleeting moment, just a few seconds, when her gaze sweeps the crowd and pauses, as if searching for something, recognition, empathy, or simply a sign she's not alone. She's a mother, not just to her own child, but to those she represents, ready to burn herself out to keep the flame of justice alive. But what's the cost of that fire? When she slams the table again, the piercing sound a warning and a confession, she's losing control, not from weakness, but from caring too much. And in that moment, Leavitt, with her icy calm, sees through it. Karoline Leavitt sits across, still as a statue amid Crockett's storm. Her black blazer isn't just a shell, it's a shield, hiding what churns in the mind of the youngest White House press secretary ever. Imagine her in a rare moment before this hearing, standing before a mirror in a small room, hands adjusting her collar, eyes staring into her reflection as if asking, "Am I strong enough?" She's a new mother, a baby waiting at home, but today she enters this room not as a parent but as a warrior of principle. The principle that free speech is untouchable, chaos be damned. When she counters Crockett with an even tone, "We don't control the narrative, the people decide what they believe." It's not just an argument, it's a declaration, forged from a deep belief that truth will find its way, no matter how rough the path. But that calm comes at a price. As she watches Crockett, her eyes don't falter, but there's a flicker, just a flicker, when her lips tighten, as if holding back something, a sharper retort, an emotion itching to break free, or simply the weariness of a young woman thrust into a political maelstrom. She's a keeper of principle, not because she's heartless, but because she believes that letting go, letting the government control the people's voices, means losing the freedom she's sworn to defend. When she says freedom's always messy, it's an assertion, but also a justification, one she must repeat to herself whenever she faces the consequences Crockett rails against: violence, division, suffering. And in that moment, as their eyes meet, it's not just a clash of politicians. It's a war of souls. Two worldviews, two paths that can't reconcile. The room shakes again as Crockett lunges for the microphone, her voice shattering in fury. You dare say I want control? I want truth. I want accountability. You let Trump and his mob sow chaos, then stand there like you're noble. Her shout is a firestorm, swallowing all other sounds, startling some, spurring wild applause from others. But Leavitt doesn't blink. She tilts her head slightly, as if studying a curiosity, then replies, her voice lower, sharper. I'm not noble, Congresswoman Crockett. I'm just standing here, in front of you, in front of this nation. But if you want to talk consequences, look at yourself. You want to control the narrative, decide who speaks and who doesn't. That's not protection, that's power. The word power rings like a bell, sharp and cold, slicing through Crockett's fire like an icy blade. The crowd falls silent, only Crockett's ragged breathing echoing through the mic. She freezes, eyes wide, face locked for a moment, then erupts. You dare say I want power, she roars, her voice breaking with emotion. You're gaslighting us all. I'm fighting for truth, for the people, and you're just Trump's mouthpiece. Her chair wobbles as she lurches forward, as if to cross the table and confront Leavitt, but an aide grabs her, whispering urgently in her ear. Leavitt doesn't move. She watches Crockett, eyes cold but not hostile, then says slowly, I didn't say you want power. I said you don't control the narrative anymore, and that terrifies you. The words are a slow-burning bomb, shaking not just Crockett but the entire room. Murmurs flare again, the audience leaning forward, cameras whipping to catch every reaction. Crockett screams, I'll make you pay! But her voice drowns in the chairman's frantic gavel and the crowd's roar. Meanwhile, Leavitt sits still, hands clasped, face unrippled. But look closely and you'll see her fingers tighten, just slightly, as if holding back an inner tide. She's not a machine, she's human, with beliefs, doubts, and a heavy burden on her shoulders. Crockett, with her blazing fire, has bared her heart to the nation, a heart full of passion but also scars. These women aren't just adversaries, they're mirrors, each carrying half of a fractured America. The House Oversight Committee room is no longer a mere political space, it's a furnace where Crockett's fire and Leavitt's ice collide, evaporating every surface layer to reveal the deep cracks of a struggling America. Crockett's final shout, I'll make you pay, still echoes, mingling with the chairman's frantic gavel and the crowd's chaotic din. But this clash doesn't end within those four walls. It spreads like wildfire, dragging American society into an unrelenting debate over free speech, social responsibility, and the cost, when two opposing ideologies can't find common ground. This isn't just their story, it's ours, of families divided, communities shattered, and moral questions without answers. As Crockett stands there, breath heaving, eyes bloodshot and fixed on Leavitt, she's not just herself. She embodies millions of Americans betrayed by a world where truth warps on social media, where X-posts can ignite violence and division. Picture a mother in Texas, standing at her doorstep, watching her teenage son walk away with a stranger's gaze after falling into election conspiracies on X. That's the image Crockett carries in her heart. When she yells, those lies have consequences, people die, communities collapse, it's not a politician's exaggeration, it's raw pain, drawn from her days as a lawyer, witnessing families torn apart by misinformation. She believes the government, or at least people like Leavitt, must be accountable, must do something to stop that chaotic fire from spreading. But in her fury, she doesn't see that her own flame could consume her, not through defeat, but through the loss of control. Leavitt deftly exploits. Leavitt, across from her, remains still as ice in the storm, but don't mistake that calm for apathy. When she replies, freedom's always messy, it's not just a rebuttal, it's a creed etched into her mind, a belief she'll defend even if the world turns against her. Imagine her in a private moment, standing by a window after the hearing, gazing at the city lights, her hand brushing the phone where her child's photo waits. She's not just Trump's press secretary, she's a mother, a young woman facing the question, is the freedom I defend worth it when it leads to suffering? When she looks at Crockett and says, you want to control the narrative, decide who speaks and who doesn't, that's not protection, that's power. It's not just a counterstrike, it's a warning, a worldview where the government has no right to gatekeep truth, no matter the wounds Crockett keeps pointing to. That clash bursts beyond the hearing room, electrifying every American home. Think of a house in Ohio, a father before the TV, replaying Leavitt's clip with proud eyes, muttering, "She's right. We need freedom, messy or not." Across the room, the mother types furiously, posting on X. "Crockett speaks for us. We can't let lies win." Their older child, a college student, slips out, earbuds in to drown the bickering, while their 16-year-old sits in a corner, laptop open, eyes glued to an X post claiming the election was stolen. No one notices the boy slipping into a world neither Crockett nor Leavitt can control. A world where social media doesn't just reflect division, it deepens it, turning small cracks into unbridgeable chasms. On X, the fight rages at lightning speed. One user posts, "Leavitt's steel ice. She doesn't need to yell to win," with a clip of her calm amid Crockett's storm, racking up thousands of likes. Another counters, "Crockett's the fire we need. She dares to stand for truth," with an image of her slamming the table, finger aimed at Leavitt. Trump supporters turn Leavitt into a new icon, dubbing her freedom's guardian, while progressives hail Crockett as the voice of conscience. But amid the praise, a bigger question looms. Is free speech truly worth it when it breeds chaos, or does protecting the community demand a stronger hand, as Crockett believes? It's a question no one in that room or on social media can answer definitively. Tension peaks as Crockett, unable to hold back, lunges for the mic one last time, her voice shattering like an explosion. "You let people believe the election was stolen, let them threaten to kill each other on X. That's not freedom, it's chaos, and you're the one greenlighting it." The crowd erupts, some leaping up, applause clashing with boos. An aide grabs her arm, whispering urgently, but she brushes it off, eyes still ablaze, as if she'd charge across the table at Leavitt right then. Leavitt doesn't blink. She pulls the mic closer, voice lower but sharp as a blade. "You keep talking about people being misled, but who's really trying to impose their thoughts on them? We let them think freely. You want the White House to censor every word to fit your narrative. Is that freedom in your eyes?" The question is a slow fuse bomb, silencing the room for a fleeting moment. Then Crockett explodes again, slamming the table so hard her papers tremble. "Don't twist my words. I don't want censorship. I want accountability. People die because of those lies, and you just stand there, pretending you're innocent." Her shout sweeps the crowd like wildfire, startling some, spurring others to cheer. But Leavitt just tilts her head, eyes cold yet not hostile, and replies, "I'm not pretending innocence. I'm standing here before you, before this nation. But if you want to talk consequences, ask yourself, who's the one who doesn't trust the people? We let them speak. You want them silenced?" Those words are an icy dagger piercing Crockett's fire. She freezes, breath heaving, face flushed, as if doused with cold water. The crowd roars again, noise swelling like the sea, but amid it all Leavitt sits still, hands clasped, face unrippled. Crockett, with her fire, has bared her heart, a heart of passion and pain. Leavitt, with her ice, has hidden hers, but no one can deny it beats somewhere beneath that frigid shell. This isn't just a battle between two women, it's a mirror reflecting an America wrestling with itself, where freedom and responsibility clash fiercely, leaving wounds no one knows how to heal. The storm in the House Oversight Committee room finally subsides, but not from the chairman's gavel or the crowd's exhaustion. It fades in a breathless silence as Jasmine Crockett stands frozen, panting, and Karoline Leavitt sits still, eyes cold but not hostile. Leavitt's final words, "You want them silenced?" hang in the air like an icy blade slicing through Crockett's fire and leaving a void no one dares fill. But that silence is fleeting. The room soon erupts again, noise rising like a tidal wave, the audience leaping up, cameras whipping to catch the last seconds of a clash that's transcended a hearing. It's become a symbol, a fire and an ice colliding, reflecting America's unhealable fractures. And as the hearing room doors close, the story doesn't end. It shifts to a new battlefield where each of us must confront ourselves. Crockett stumbles out, legs heavy, her red blouse now crumpled as if her inner fire has burned too long, leaving only embers of exhaustion. She storms into her office, the door slamming shut with a piercing bang, making her 3 young aides flinch. Papers on her desk quiver as she collapses into her chair, trembling hands touching her forehead, eyes still bloodshot but now clouded by something deeper. Not just anger, but despair. An aide, voice hesitant, breaks the silence. "Are you okay, Congresswoman? You did great. The whole country heard you." Crockett looks up, voice hoarse. "Great? I didn't take her down. I shouted, I slammed the table, but Leavitt, she didn't budge. I don't feel like I won." Another aide, a short-haired girl, steps forward, hand on the desk. "You spoke the truth. That's what matters. Leavitt can be cold, but you showed we won't stay silent against lies." Crockett gives a faint, bitter laugh. "Truth means nothing if I can't make them accountable." She taps her fist lightly on the desk, too drained to slam it, her gaze distant, recalling her Texas days defending families, communities broken by misinformation. "I'm not stopping," she says, voice firmer. "They may have won today, but I'll make them pay, somehow." A few corridors away, Leavitt steps out, her heels clicking steadily on the marble floor, face as calm as it was in the hearing. Reporters rush forward, mics raised, but she glides past like a ghost, not sparing a glance. She turns into a small third-floor office where Elise Stefanik, the newly appointed UN ambassador and close Trump ally, waits. The door shuts, locking out the noise. Stefanik rises, coffee in hand, a smirk on her lips. "You did great, Karoline," Crockett screamed loud, "but you didn't flinch." Leavitt sinks into an armchair, letting her shoulders relax for the first time that day, unbuttoning her blazer and exhaling softly. "I wasn't surprised by her," she replies, voice low. "Crockett cares. I can see that. But she thinks yelling will change something. It doesn't work that way." Stefanik nods, setting her coffee down. "You just showed the nation how we play. Calm, sharp. Trump's gonna love this." Leavitt gazes out the window, city lights twinkling below. She's silent for a moment, fingers tapping lightly on the armrest, then says, "I didn't do it for Trump. I did it for principle. People have to speak, right or wrong. Otherwise we're no different from the ones Crockett hates." Stefanik raises an eyebrow but doesn't argue. She pats Leavitt's shoulder. "You're the youngest press secretary in history, and today you proved why. Take a break. You've earned it." Leavitt nods, but her eyes stay fixed on the view, a question flickering in her mind. Am I doing the right thing? She brushes it off quickly. She believes in what she stands for. Not Trump, not the White House, but the idea that truth will find its way, no matter how messy the road. Out there, the public remains fiercely divided. In Texas, Crockett's supporters gather outside her local office holding signs. "Jasmine speaks for us." An older woman tells a reporter, "She's fiery, but she cares, not like that cold crew at the White House." In New Hampshire, Leavitt's home state, locals crowd a coffee shop, proudly replaying her clash with Crockett. A middle-aged man grins. "That's our girl, calm but cutting." Crockett didn't stand a chance. On X, the war rages on, with posts like, "Leavitt's a symbol of freedom. She doesn't need to yell to win." Clashing with Crockett's the fire of justice. "She fights for us." But amid the noise, a stark truth emerges. Leavitt won not because she was right, but because she mastered her emotions, turning Crockett's anger into a weakness. Crockett lost not because she was wrong, but because she let her fire rage too wild, bearing her heart to the nation, while Leavitt kept hers locked behind ice. This clash isn't just a battle between two women. It's a mirror of a polarized society where how we communicate matters more than ever. Imagine yourself in a crowd, shouting to defend what you believe, but no one hears because your yells drown your reason. Then imagine standing still, speaking softly, but each word cuts so deep the world stops to listen. Crockett chose fire, she burned bright, but that flame could consume her if she doesn't learn to temper it. Leavitt chose ice, she stood firm, but that coldness could distance her from those who need her most. Both are lessons. In a world where every voice can ring out on X, in families or on the streets, we must speak without letting emotion cloud our reason, stand strong without losing our hearts. The story doesn't end here, it lives in each of us. What will you choose when conflict comes? Crockett's fire, blazing but fragile, or Leavitt's ice, steadfast but frigid? There's no right answer, only choices that force you to face yourself. Next time you argue, online or in life, will you shout or stay silent? Think about it, and if you want to keep exploring battles of fire and ice like this, share your thoughts, hit subscribe, and step into the next story with me. Crockett and Leavitt's fight isn't just theirs, it's ours, and how we face it will shape the world we leave behind.